Good afternoon. This is the Sacramento County Civil Service Commission, February 19th, 2021 regular business meeting. In compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, please dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in the queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, callers will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Please send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed for the record. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn the meeting over to you.
Okay. As noted by our lovely Secretary Alice, 2021, or February 19th, 2021 Civil Service Commission is now in session. Who's going to take the roll? Is Gina here or?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Gina will
okay, so you can take the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Blois?
Here.
Commissioner Blois, okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Present.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yo.
Commissioner Purdy?
Here.
Commissioner Suter?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. So I seriously doubt we have any public comment, unless Alice has some. Do we have any?
No public comment received.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So the next item on the agenda, Mr. Chairman, would be consent matters.
Okay, so we'll go to the consent matters. Item 4, which is the adoption of the minutes, and item 5, quarterly reports. Do we have an appearance on those?
No appearance, Mr. Chairman, just items on consent.
Okay, no, nothing to talk about for item 5. Okay, let's have a motion on that.
So moved. So moved.
Commissioner Blois, motion to approve.
Second.
I'm sorry. Is it Commissioner Blois made the motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner
Okay.
Johnson, second. Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Will the clerk please call the roll for roll call
yes.
vote?
Good.
Commissioner Blois, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, how do you vote?
On a robocall. Can I call you back?
Commissioner Johnson, how do you vote?
Go ahead and ask. We'll ask Commissioner Johnson afterwards. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Nelson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Purdy, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Suter, how do you vote?
Yes. Yes. Commissioner Johnson votes yes. Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion has been adopted unanimously.
Okay. Now move on to item 6, which is Department of Personnel Service, provisional appointments. We have
Yes.
discussion on that.
Yes, we have Ms.
Yes,
Carla
hi.
Honey.
Hi, this is Carla Honey, Department of Personnel Services. I have only one update to the report in front of you for January, and it's for the Senior Contract Services Officer. And that list was established, and the person has been hired. So there are no other updates to this list at this time. So if you do not have any questions, I request that you please receive and file the monthly provisional report for January 2021.
Mr. Nelson here, those other 2 items, retirement services analyst and the inventory specialist, is there a date for those on the exam?
You know, I checked just a few days ago, and there were no updates. They're still working on the exams on those.
Okay, no problem. Okay. That's Any other questions, gentlemen? No? Okay. We have a motion.
Motion to approve?
Is that Commissioner, who, if you could just state your name when you make the motion so I know.
Sorry about that. Commissioner Blois, motion to approve.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Is there a second?
Commissioner Suter, second.
Okay. Gino, you want to call for the vote on that?
Yes. Commissioner Blois, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Purdy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Suter, how do you vote?
Yes.
Let the record show the motion's been adopted unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we move on to the big one. So do we have an appearance on the Sacramento County Waste Certification Program, item 7?
So, Mr. Chairman, the next item on the agenda is the revision of the Sacramento County Classification Plan as recommended by the 2020 Solid Waste and Recycling Class Study. You have before you the report that was prepared by the Department of Personnel Services, as well as my analysis and recommendation. And we do have several appearances here. Karen Farrell is lead on this item, and she will present, and there are staff here with the Department of Waste Management and Recycling to answer questions that you may have.
Good afternoon. Karen Farrell, Department of Personnel Services. We request that your commission approve the class study for the Solid Waste and Recycling series, including revisions and retitling of classes. The changes recommended in this study will support the planning of new or enhanced waste management programs in order to meet regulatory changes in the waste management industry, as well as support and expand the career opportunities for employees within the Department of Waste Management and Recycling. Keith Goodrich, Division Manager, and Tim Israel, Waste Management Superintendent, are with me today to answer any questions you may have.
So, Commissioner Nelson here, and just a quick question at the beginning here. Bottom of page 2, there's a notation here about state state statute about the targets, including a 75% reduction in the level of statewide disposal of organic waste from the 2014 level to the 2025. So the question is, how are we doing on that?
This is Tim Israel. You know, we're not doing as bad as you would think, to be honest. We recycle and compost a lot of organics already, and that is in terms of our green waste that we process. And so, right now, I don't have an exact number, but we do pretty well. But we don't get at all of the organics like food waste that goes into the garbage. And that's what these regulations are really looking at, diverting all of the organics out of your garbage and to composting or some other process to utilize that material.
So we're pretty close to the 2025 deadline. Are we going to meet that?
So the deadline is, it's a statewide mandate, and I would say that we probably will not, but we don't really know, and so this is all coming together pretty quickly, and it's what it's really going to do is demand that the public get educated on what can to put your garbage in. Does it go in the refuse can? Does it go in the organics can? Or does it go in the recycling can? And so for us in the Department of Waste Management, what we're looking at is a really broad, wide-reaching effort to educate not only people at home, but people in businesses and people in restaurants. And so when you go out and eat, you at the Taco Bell, you'll put the right garbage in the right can. And so that's what really all of these efforts are pointing towards.
Okay. Yeah, well, that sounds pretty reasonable. Okay. So on another question here from myself, Commissioner Nelson. On the Waste Management Program Class 1, the MQs on that are a bachelor's degree or higher. So the prior experience I've had with this is a bachelor's degree in what? Is there a waste management degree for this, or what kind of degree do you need?
So Karen Farrell, Department of Personnel Services, we broadened the field of study in this area after discussions with the department. What we found is that they are recruiting to this area from a variety of fields, and because it is an emerging field, the focus on renewable, recyclable, sustaining or reusing things. There are a lot of new and emerging fields as well. And so the department can probably speak more to it, but specifically we left it broad so that we could recruit from all areas that are funneling into this environmental interest.
Yeah, see, one of the issues that comes up before the commission quite frequently is an appeal by people who say they meet the MQs, but personnel says, no, you don't meet the MQs. So in this one here, it says a bachelor's degree. So I want to be a, waste manager, and I got a degree in English. Is that going to fly?
It will if you have the required experience also. It's unlikely that you will have 2 years of management experience or to get into that area with having no other experience. So even if you had an English degree, but you somehow found yourself in the waste management industry and worked your way up through this industry, we don't want to end your career because you didn't know when you got your degree that you wanted to be in this field.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions, gentlemen?
This is Commissioner Johnson. I do have a question, and I think part of it is more background information I'd like to get from DPS. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Under the current system, we have 4 classifications, Planner 1, Planner 2, Program Manager, and Superintendent. It is my understanding that you're doing a study on the Superintendent, and you will come back to us in the future?
That's correct. I believe that study is already with your executive officer for review.
Okay. So one of the difficulties, all right, I'll look at now that we are expanding this department, and is it what I kind of read or understood, this department does the planning. It doesn't pick up the garbage or recycle work. It just thinks about how it's supposed to be done. Is that correct?
This is Keith Goodrich, Division Chief, Waste Management and Recycling. And yes, the technical services section does planning work, also administers contracts for some of the operations, but does not do the operations themselves. The operations superintendent oversees the operations section, which actually has county employees that go out and collect refuse and recycling and operate our facilities.
The difficulty I had in trying to understand how big the scope is here a little bit of waste management is the organizational chart was very defined just to this section. In this one section that we're talking about, how many employees are just for curiosity, are currently employed?
Oh, I'm going to have to add them up here, but I would say approximately 20, because in addition to the class series that is in front of you, the section manager, in this case, Tim Israel, who's on the call, is responsible for a number of other functions, including our special waste, household hazardous waste program, our what we refer to as our cart yard operations, and support to our operations folks for things like GIS and routing and so forth. And those tasks would remain within the scope of the proposed class of Waste Management Program Manager 2.
Okay. You lost me a little bit. You're saying there is this gentleman, is he a program manager now? And because all right, where I'm going at, we've gone from 1, 2, 3, 4 classifications, including the superintendent, to the 7 classifications, and above the superintendent, reading the class MQs, and maybe is there a chief, or do we just go to superintendent?
So let me answer your first question regarding the number of positions. Presently in the series that's before you, we have a couple gaps. There is not an entry-level position presently that does not require experience. The existing entry-level positions require some sort of recycling planning experience. So number one, we want to add a level that would someone could get into either by education experience or by operations experience within the department. The other gap presently in the series is that there is not a supervisory level. So the Waste Management Program Manager, as currently defined, not only manages their work group, but also supervises. And with the anticipated growth in number of positions required as we comply with these new regulations, we really feel that we need the supervisory level. And with respect to the proposed Waste Management Program Manager 2, that position that is proposed would ultimately replace the superintendent to manage this major division within our department. Presently, given the size of the division and its required duties, it is being managed by a superintendent, Tim Israel, who is on the call. But ultimately, assuming this class study is approved, when Tim moves on to greater things, that position would be reallocated to a Waste Management Program Manager 2. And both of those positions do report to the division chief, which is me, and I report to the director.
Okay.
So hopefully that helps with the organizational aspects.
How much growth do you anticipate getting, let's say, I don't know, in the next, hopefully 5 years, whenever we get back to normal? Or
Well,
about the time 2025 when then you were bringing about the different regulations that are being required upon you?
As Tim mentioned, with the necessary outreach and public education for these new programs, there are also significant requirements to, as a county, wherein we have to work with other jurisdictions regarding their programs. We have some oversight responsibilities, and we will have monitoring and reporting, and perhaps even a touch on some enforcement activities that we coordinate with other departments. So at this point, we're forecasting anywhere from 4 to 8 additional positions within the next 5 years. However, that is really dependent upon the outcome of this study, the salaries that are set, the funding that we are provided, and ultimately the budgetary process, and also exactly what we need as we get into these programs and find out where our gaps are. And a lot of it is also going to depend upon, as Tim mentioned, the the response of the public in terms of putting the correct materials in the correct cans, as it were. If we have great compliance and really successful outreach programs, we won't need as many staff.
Okay. But what you're looking at is you currently have 20 staff, and in 4 to 8, you go up to 24 to 28 people, and we got it broken down into about 7 positions. I mean, what I'm concerned about, let's say, from the commission standpoint, is that we are dealing with merit and competitive. A question I think would be DPS is asking about the interpretation of the college degree, that all the positions here, I understand, are asking for a college degree. And part of the reasoning, if I remember right, reading the report, was it felt that it would give them, if you went through college, I guess, give them a written skill or an analytical skill. But that same knowledge you feel can be gained through experience. With that,
That's correct.
having no major that is needed, is that same standard? Does DPS anticipate using that in other classifications? Which this is
Mr.
the
Johnson,
first time I've seen a
that we look-
classification. Excuse me.
This is something that we look at. This is Karen Farrell, Department of Personal
Yes,
Services. And when we look at a classification for revision, we do take a look at the minimum qualifications. We also look at past recruitments. We look at the current workforce. We look at whether or not this is a classification that is or will be changing rapidly. For example, now we're looking at something where garbage has been disposed of for forever, but now the way in which we dispose of our garbage is going to change, and that's going to require a lot of different skill sets to implement that change. And so we want to be able to broaden that skill set and that applicant pool to get a variety of people to reach all of the necessary areas. That's not applicable to every job class. So I can't tell you that we will always be doing this, because it will not always be appropriate. But where it is appropriate, we will consider that.
So what you're more concerned about, you're not concerned what they go to school for. You're concerned more is that they can think and write. Is that the bottom line?
For this particular classification, that is a large part of the skill set that's necessary to develop the programs and produce the material that will be required to do this, and the reports. Read complex legal language to be able to interpret and apply that language. So there is a level of analytical and comprehension and writing skills necessary. We do have a lot of job classes also that don't require those skill sets. And so in those cases, we would not consider a degree as being necessary or required.
Okay. A simple question is, reading your old MQs versus your new MQs, many of the positions require that you lift 25 pounds. Is there a reason for that?
In this case, what we did was we kept that because there will be such a large amount of outreach.
You didn't. You added that, and I was curious why you added it.
So I apologize. So the reason that we have that in the current proposed spec is because there will be a large amount of outreach happening with these positions. They will be going to community events once that's allowed to happen again. They will be going to community events, setting up at booths at different types of fairs and things to get educational materials out. And they will be required to bring the tables and banners and boxes of materials to be handing out. They will be required to move all of those things and get those things set up. So 25 pounds was a reasonable amount to be able to do that.
I kind of assumed that. The only thing I did see that seemed maybe of getting nitpicky is that it was required for the assistant, the associate, the senior associate, and the program manager one, but it's not required for the supervisor. And I would assume, I don't know, trying to get paper spread out over my lap. If that's true, did you leave the supervisor out for a particular reason, or is it an anomaly that we should include it?
Give me 1 second. I'm just pulling up the document.
Okay, I'm trying to go through the paperwork again on my my lap, but I saw that and it just maybe I misread it, and I assume you wanted to be consistent.
Mr. Nelson here. Mr. Johnson, I want you to know you beat me to the punch on that one. That was my next question.
Well, you can
When you
do
have
it
a
next
program
time.
manager, and the key word there is manager, why does he have to lift 25 pounds? I agree with that. That's a good question.
Because I think he should set a good example.
Then he should raise 50 pounds.
Yeah,
It
at
says
least
exactly
26.
correct. Yeah, 20, at least 26. Yeah, I agree.
This is your executive officer.
If I was,
What I would say, Commissioner Johnson, if I might, I'm looking at the program manager and I'm looking at the supervisor, and I would say that absent an objection from the department, the physical requirement language that's in the program manager should also have been in the supervisor spec, and we
okay. It was only manager one. Manager two, if I remember right, doesn't have it, and so I assume
correct. And the manager two
is
is a
basically
much higher
stayed
level,
in.
so I think it wouldn't.
All right, he stayed down at the county building and never went out to go see the public.
I think he's probably not going to be setting up for it.
Yeah. Okay. More hands make the task lighter. My last question is charging windmills again. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll ask a question, see if I can find it. Dealing with probation. We have the supervisor with 1 year, and kind of would like you to maybe explain to me how you got there, other than 6
sure.
months.
The program supervisor is responsible for obviously staff supervision, but they are also responsible for the oversight of a number of seasonal and annual.
For what? Excuse me, they're responsible for what? I didn't hear your
staff
first statement. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So incumbents in this class are, of course, responsible for the staff supervision, but they are also responsible for the oversight of a number of seasonal and annual planning, reportings, and trainings. And it is these responsibilities that provide the basis of that recommendation. Those duties are outlined in the CSC report that DPS provided on page 6. They give examples of the types of projects and tasks that cannot be performed within a 6-month period of time.
So, all right. Was somebody going to ask a question? Because okay. With that, there are one is looking at this. Excuse me, I'm paging it through. This is the supervisor has oversight. We then go to the manager one that does preparation, and then we go to manager two evaluation. And I understand information goes up, but in part of the other report reading here, the primary function that you have supervision or have created this position is the day-to-day supervision, which is the primary let's say, goal that you are trying to accomplish. And during the year, you have a certain amount of series of things that you do. But your primarily concern is, can the person supervise and get work done? So are you just telling me I got stuff all year long and I can't judge somebody? And because the county does, all their functions are generally more long-term than not. So I don't know where this person is on the bottom end of the food chain of basically has as oversight that paperwork goes up. He doesn't have evaluation authority, and he doesn't have or preparation authority. So other than your concern is oversight?
This class is responsible for the for a number of duties that do take more than 6 months to occur. So they oversee the preparation of. I'm sorry, Alice, are you trying to speak?
No, I'm not trying to speak. I'm fine.
Oh, sorry. Thought somebody was I was talking over somebody. So they do oversee the submittal for the EAR. They summarize that information. They oversee seasonal and education and outreach campaigns. So this is in the winter. There is specific.
They supervise.
That need to be done.
They
in
supervise.
The summer, they need to be. They oversee those programs and campaigns.
What do you mean? Maybe I don't understand. They supervise that those functions get accomplished. What do you mean by using the term oversight?
So they don't just ensure that they're accomplished. They are assisting with the development of the plans, the administration of the program, and the projects. If you look at the class specification in the duty statements, there is some information there that might help clear that up. So they have their reviews the development of plans, programs, and projects, conducts research, compiles and analyzes, interprets information and data to meet planning objectives. They assign and oversee planning of special projects. They prepare and present information regarding reports, and many of those reports are annual. They occur just one time per year, so they need to be able to prepare that information. There are a number of things at this level that cannot be evaluated because they cannot be completed. They cannot be evaluated within 6 months, which is the guidance given to us by the commission.
Okay. Is it then what you're telling me, DPS's position, that if there is an annual report that an employee will participate in or oversight it in any way, that if they are hired, their probation must be able to cover when that report is due? If it's within 6 months, that's great. If it takes a year, then their probation should be a year. That their probation is, let's say.
Not.
So I'm trying to understand, what do you mean if these reports are due, this report is important, and they have to be there to get it done?
So having responsibility for one report in and of itself is not necessarily a foundational necessity for a 12-month probationary period. It would be difficult for me to tell you that anyone that's responsible for an annual report will have a 12-month probationary period, in the same way that it would be difficult for me to tell you that if that is their only responsibility, they would have a 6-month probationary period, because there are a number of things that we look at in order to evaluate the complexity and the overall duties that are critical to the function of the position. It's not just one thing. we're looking at a variety of factors. We're looking at all of the duties that are assigned to this position and whether or not a majority of the critical functions cannot be completed and evaluated within 6 months. And if that is the case, then we recommend the 12-month probationary period. If it is not the case, then we don't recommend a 12-month probationary period.
Okay. I appreciate the thought you put into it. It is difficult to me to, at times, know how to draw the line back and forth. So I appreciate your comment of trying to help me understand better. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments here from the commissioners? Any other questions?
Ron Suter here. I have no questions.
Okay.
I thought the report was very well written, and everything that we've talked about in the past seemed to be accomplished. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think other than the items that Mr. Johnson brought up, I think we're all good. Do we have a motion, gentlemen?
Is there any public comment?
No public comment. No public comment.
Thanks, Gene. Okay. Nelson here.
This is Commissioner
seeking
Boyd.
a motion.
Pardon me?
This is Commissioner Bloyd.
I'm sorry. This is your executive officer. You have recommendations to do. There are several. So if
You're
it's
echoing.
Yes, I don't know how. Is that something that the clerk rectify? Sorry, I don't know why.
We're breaking up here.
Sorry about that. It's echoing. Essentially, there are a set of recommendations before you. So if it pleases the commission, a motion to approve the recommendations as proposed by the executive officer would be the swiftest way to move forward.
This is Commissioner Bloyd, so I make that motion.
Second.
And I'll second it.
Alice, I just want
Gordon
to.
Purdy.
Alice, this is Karen Farrell with Department of Personnel Services. I think we do need to amend that supervisor level to add the working conditions.
I think you should make that at least 50 pounds. I second with to suggest that the amendment of the 25-pound agreement or weight ability to lift.
That's the supervisor, Karen?
Yeah,
Yes.
If we just note that the working conditions should be the same as the program manager one, that should be sufficient. I'll just copy them over.
Okay, Commissioner Nelson here. Do we need a separate motion to grant status?
No, we don't. But right now we don't have a second.
Okay, so the status is included in the motion, granting status?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so I think we've had a motion and a second. So, Gina, if you could do the roll call.
I do not.
Go ahead.
I need a second.
Suter, seconded.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bloys, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Did you answer? I couldn't hear.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Purdy, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Suter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
Let the record show the motion has been adopted unanimously.
Very well. We'll move to the budget, which is item 8. Is I suppose Miss Alice will be the appearance on that one, eh?
Yes. Can everyone hear me okay without an echo? I don't know where that's coming from.
Yes, right now you don't have it now.
Yeah, that's way better.
Okay. Some people have an echo, and some don't. I don't know. All right. You have before you my proposed budget for the fiscal year 2021. Essentially, I'm not suggesting much of an increase. I'm looking at a total expenditure authority in the amount of $461,529 minus the $60,000 we may receive in our cost recovery for the appeals would be $401,529. That's about about $5,793 increase over this current fiscal year. And the increase is due to allocated costs. I'm sorry, I hear that I'm echoing again, so I'm not sure what's going on. Again, you have the budget before you, so I don't know if there are any questions.
Yeah, which one of these categories has the budget, the dollar amount for appeals that go to one of the attorneys that works for the commission?
Okay, so other professional services, it's on the second page of the budget, and it's actually in purple. It's highlighted in purple. It says $60,000 you'll see for the adjusted budget for 2021, and then it goes to $60,000 for 21-22.
Okay. So I don't think we had that many appeals. Do we still allocate that much anyway?
Just to make sure, because we just don't know.
Okay.
And so we request that expenditure authority, and if we don't spend it, then there's no problem because we're reimbursed 100% for those costs. So if we don't spend it, we don't get the reimbursement. So there really is no difference to the budget's bottom line on that.
Okay. I have no other comments on that.
Yes.
This commission.
Are they projecting a cost of living for the employees?
Right now, the budget includes a 1% COLA for both my salary and for Gina's, and that is based on it's consistent with whatever labor negotiations they have that are equivalent to our positions.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we get tied that there's the management COLA. I don't remember which group we get, whatever a particular group gets, then management generally gets that same one, but I can't remember off the top of my head what group it is.
Okay.
But right now the budget's reflecting about a 1% COLA.
Okay.
Alice, this is Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
On following up of Mr. Suter's question, you're saying management projected a 1% cost of living increase, and you've adopted that in your budget.
Yes. I
just got my letter from PERS showing they have a cost of living of 2. We're obligated basically just to, not to stir the pot at all, is to accept labor relations recommendation other than what the cost of living is?
The salary and wage for regular employees is a cost that is provided to me by the county exec's office. So I don't believe that there's any flexibility for us to change that, but I don't know.
This Commissioner, that's a dumb question. One of the questions, though, brought up, and also a cost of living, is dealing with the hearing officers we have. I know at one time we extended the contract on our current hearing officers. And I don't know where that process is, and there was discussion at the time of what their rates were and how it would impact us. Where is that currently?
We are in the process.
Are we?
With COVID, yes, with COVID, things got slowed down with everybody. So we're actually working with General Services to negotiate new contracts, and I'm sure that our costs will go up to reflect the current rate of services. But again,
Okay.
all those costs are reimbursed by the affected departments, so I don't anticipate having any difficulty if those rates do go up to reflect what the actual costs are. Right now, the rates are very low because our contracts are old, and we just were able to secure low rates, but they're not at today's standards. I know we're not paying the hearing officers what they receive from other public agencies for similar services.
Are we looking at in the future of looking at new hearing officers or availability of other than the current ones we do have? Or
Yes,
looking through
we are
instead of state conciliation, looking at American arbitration?
We are actually going out to bid so that individuals who are interested in providing those services to the commission can then respond through the bidding process. So we can increase the number of hearing officers we have available.
Thank you. Please keep us updated.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there
any other discussion on the budget? No further discussion on this budget issue. Let's have a motion, gentlemen.
This is Commissioner Blois' motion to approve the budget.
Commissioner
Johnson, second.
Yep. Okay. Gino, you ready to take the roll on this?
Okay. Commissioner Blois, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Purdy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Suter, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let the record show the motion has been adopted, and I will submit our budgets actually due to the county executive's office today, so I'll be getting that to them. Thank you, commissioners.
Very good. Okay, now before Ms. Alice takes it away here, I have a quick question on not too distant past. We had a issue with the continuous exam matter. I just wonder what's happening with that.
Yes, so on that particular item, I sent a memo to DPS and I gave them time to prepare a response, and they will be submitting a response to us by, let's see here, actually I think we gave her an extension for the I think it's the first week of March.
Okay, cool. Okay, now you got the ball, Alice. Go ahead.
All right. So our next scheduled meeting will be on March 5th. However, in light of the COVID-19 restrictions, the Commission's next meeting will really be March 19th. At that meeting, the Commissioners are scheduled to consider recommendations to the county's classification plan stemming from the election series class study. And we may also have the construction labor compliance series recommendations available as well. I'm working with the Department of Personnel Services on the timing for that one. There is the possibility that the clerk's office will be ready to help facilitate a meeting via Zoom. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. That would be great for all of us. We can actually see each other, and I think it would make things much easier. At the Commission's April 23rd meeting, the Commission may consider recommendations to the county's classification plan stemming from the 2020 traffic signs maintenance worker class study. And then at your May 21st meeting, right now, I have you scheduled to adopt your meeting schedule for the 2021-22 fiscal year. There might be a class study that comes before you there as well. DPS has been very hard at work preparing class studies. I have several on my desk for preliminary review, so we're going through that process. I wanted to report that I've received no new appeals this week, but I did close one failed psychological evaluation appeal after the appellant withdrew his appeal. Currently, we have 4 releases from probation and 1 allocation appeal pending before the Commission. I also submitted my secondary comments on the proposed 2020 Environmental, Regulatory, and Legislative Analyst class study to DPS this week. And that concludes my staff report.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Alice. Well done. All right, gentlemen, I think that brings our meeting to a point where we need to close it up. Need a motion.
I sumo, Ron Suter. So moved. There we go. It's been a tough day.
Commissioner Nelson, I'll second that. Dina, could you
Yes.
take the vote, please?
Okay. Commissioner Blois, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Purdy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Suter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. That was a short meeting.
Good. Thank you,
Yes,
gentlemen.
thank you.
See you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
So long.
Bye.